A big grid here for the Pitbike 140 and MotoTeam race, and everyone getting ready to open up the day. And you might want to turn your TVs down a little bit because it's about to get very loud here, both in the paddock and on TV as we get ready to go. And it's going to be Charlie Nesbitt leading away. Does he get a good start? He does, down into turn one. Brad Ray up into second place. That demotes Will Howarth down into third place. Great start there from Charlie, but he's once again got adversary Brad Ray right behind him.
Yeah, important to remember as well, though, Will Howarth in third, but in his own race as well. So he's leading the MotoTeam race at the moment. So that would be Jamie King in fourth, is technically third place in the Pitbike 140s.
Yep, absolutely so. And Will Howarth with a 15-point lead in that MotoTeam class over Simon Clowes. So Will Howarth will be looking at picking up a decent result. And in fact, he was taking it to Charlie Nesbitt and Brad Ray yesterday on the different bikes. So yeah, he's no slouch on that one.
No, not at all. We've seen how fast Will Howarth is, and that bike he's on, a very good bike. We see how quick it is down the straights compared to those Pitbike 140s, and I'm sure that it'll be handling beautifully as well. But you can just see there how confident Brad Ray and Charlie Nesbitt are through some of these corners, getting brilliantly in angle there. You can just see Charlie Nesbitt there through the right-hander at the top of the circuit, absolutely utilising his vision. You can tell he's an accomplished rider, looking at all his markers at right the points. You see right at the apex, he moves his head and looks towards the edge of the circuit and makes sure he's looking at all his markers. Looks like we have a yellow flag down at the last corner as your leaders come through. Charlie Nesbitt's having a look to see what that yellow flag's all about. But as well, also another rider that's in this championship today that wasn't yesterday is the junior super sport rider Rossi Banham. He's riding in the BSB championship, and he'll be starting from the back of the grid on this one today. So it'll be interesting to see if he can make his way up. He won't have had any track time this weekend, so straight onto the track for him. But a change now for second place in this race, still leading the Moto team, but second place overall in this race is Will Howarth. So he's managed to sandwich himself in between Charlie Nesbitt and Brad Ray, but he now takes the lead ahead of Charlie Nesbitt. So what can Charlie Nesbitt do about the Moto team bike of Will Howarth? So that's Will Howarth leading the overall race and leading the Moto team race by quite some distance.
Yeah, brilliant last two laps there for Will Howarth. Did exactly the same move on both Charlie Nesbitt and Brad Ray to come up from third. Now leads the race, and of course leading the class of Moto team. Behind in second in class in Moto team is Greg Pym. So he is currently ahead of Simon Clowes, who's is currently a couple of positions back. So Simon Clowes is dropping back a little bit. So yeah, Greg Pym doing a good job in 10th place on circuit, second place in class. But yeah, we've got a breakaway top four with Charlie Nesbitt, Brad Ray and Jamie King.
That's two riders down there as well. That's the number 12 and the number 56. That's William Birkin down there, and number 4 we do not have at the moment. But yeah, Will Howarth doing really well to stay in front of the two BSB riders at the moment. Definitely tough one to do. Brad Ray up into second place now, so he's ahead of Charlie Nesbitt as they just come up to some back markers there. That's one of the Moto team bikes, and Iona Glover on the Pitbike 140. They make their way through the back markers nice and smoothly. Brad Ray not knowing where to look on the back straight there, just having a nice look around him and having a look at the scenery as he goes down the back straight, probably looking for his mate Charlie Nesbitt.
Yeah, absolutely. These two had a lot of fun yesterday battling on circuit, and we saw yesterday the traffic really started to become an issue with the leaders, and it was Charlie Nesbitt was one of the ones that was really able to fight his way through. So yeah, of course, with such a big grid, traffic will become an issue for with Will Howarth. You can see going a little bit deeper on the exit of the hairpin, and that's going to allow Brad Ray, who's now up into second, past Charlie Nesbitt, and Brad will be chasing down. But yeah, Will Howarth, good start for him so far, leading, but a top three breakaway down into penultimate corner, and it's going to be close. By the last lap they came across the line, split by 0.2 of a second. We'll see if it's any closer this time, because it's looking mighty close, and it is once again 0.2 of a second splitting them. And you can see lap traffic already starting to affect Brad Ray, using the curbs to hop over the exit, the entry to turn 3. So using that pit bike to real use and getting...
and a brilliant move there from Charlie Nesbitt, just pushes Brad Ray out the way and finds his way through on Will Howarth at the same time. So that was 2 in 1 corner down at the far end of the circuit. So an absolutely brilliant move there from Charlie Nesbitt. A little bit of contact with Brad Ray, but I don't think it's anything that's going to unsettle the 2-time BSB race winner.
No, absolutely not. Brilliant move there for Charlie Nesbitt. Just saw the gap and went for it and picked up 2 positions. Well, as at it, that's William Birkin, I believe, on the side, trying to restart his bike. Unfortunately, that looks like it's the end of his race. But, Charlie Nesbitt now leads this one. The gap across the line was 0.05 of a second between himself and Will Howarth. We've got 4 laps left to go in this one, so it's going to be mighty close once again. And Will Howarth from that MotoTeam bike doing a great job.
So Will Howarth in second place overall in this race, leading the MotoTeam race at the moment. Greg Pym currently in second in that one, and it looks like Jason Pugh, I believe, is in third at the moment, but difficult one to call at the moment with all these bikes mixed in with each other. But Charlie Nesbitt then trying to make his way through some more back markers round the outside into turn 1. Will Howarth didn't quite make his way round that back marker. Very unfortunate for Will Howarth. We saw yesterday in this class and also in the senior mini motors, Will Howarth seems to struggle getting through the back markers as quickly as some of the other riders. You see Nesbitt's really swift with it, can get past them really quickly, knows exactly where and when to make a move. Will Howarth, he won't be too fussed about that because he's still leading his own championship. He's still going to take this MotoTeam race win if all stays like this. Perhaps something to work on, because it did see him lose a race yesterday in the senior mini motos as well.
Yep, and it is Brad Ray that jumps up past Will Howarth from the exit of the long hairpin at the back end of the circuit on that one. So Brad Ray now up into second. Will Howarth drops back down into third after leading earlier on, but the gap between the top 3 is still 0.8 of a second, so it's going to go right down to the wire with 2 laps left to go in this one. Battles all throughout the field, and you can see several riders out there fighting over position, because there's a huge gaggle of bikes coming around turn 12 onto the back straight now as they all fight over position. Brad Ray looking behind him to try and see where Will Howarth is, but Will's dropped back a couple of lengths, so it's now going to be Brad Ray versus Charlie Nesbitt on the last lap.
Yeah, really exciting stuff then. Brad Ray managed to get the better of Charlie Nesbitt yesterday, so we'll have to wait and see if he can do the same today. Back markers playing a big part in this race. Charlie Nesbitt just catching them in the wrong place, but manages to get underneath, and so does Brad Ray through there. Don't think there's any room anymore for one more, but he's trying to push his bike to get quicker under that section. Manages to get through him into this one. So only a few corners to go of this race as they head down the back straight. Charlie Nesbitt goes real defensive, making sure Brad Ray can't get underneath him. Nice defensive line there for Charlie Nesbitt, and it looks like he's going to hold him. So Charlie Nesbitt then it is who comes across the line and takes the win. He looks delighted with that after being beaten by Brad Ray yesterday. He looks absolutely ecstatic. He's opening his visor, trying to find where Brad Ray is. Brilliant stuff from him. Will Howarth it is then who's going to take that MotoTeam win ahead of Greg Pym, Alistair Kinnaird and Vince Bailey, Ian Jackson rounding out your top 5 in the MotoTeam. So brilliant stuff from both of these classes, but it's all about the battle between Charlie Nesbitt and Brad Ray. He's going to jump the crest again. They both jump simultaneously, so some brilliant entertainment from them as they celebrate a brilliant race in this Pitbike 140 race. Some of the more experienced riders like Jamie King on the grid there, and Will Howarth that will have experienced the wet track here last year, where we did have some wet weather at Lydd last year. They will have some experience around this track in the wet, but that was a full year ago, so none of these other riders will properly know where the grip is and where the grip isn't, more importantly.
Yeah, absolutely so. But it is Will Howarth that has the clearest run down to turn 1, and he will be looking at picking up
looks
another
like
good run.
Another rider who's not going to start the race, but like you were saying, all eyes to the flag as Jamie King gets a brilliant start there to take the lead, so he'll be leading the Pitbike 140 race and leading the race overall. Will Howarth in a second position overall at the moment, but he's leading your MotoTeam race at the moment. You could just see him dropping a leg into the chicane there, trying to find where the grip is, trying to feel how slippy this circuit is, and just making sure. You can see him dropping a leg there as well, just trying to find the grip at the moment. Doesn't look like they've got a hell of a lot of grip out there at the moment, not running a lot of lean angle, and just struggling to find where that grip is, but the race is long, and these guys will be able to find where that grip is. You see Jamie King doing a brilliant job of finding where the grip is, and we already have a crash down there. That's the rider down, just going onto the back straight. I believe that was the number 14, was it, of Tom Whedon. So I think that was Tom Whedon down. A very unfortunate end to the race for him. Looks like he's trying to get started and back out onto this grid. One rider climbing up through the field is the British Talent Cup runner-up from last year. That's the number 16. I believe that's Harvey Claridge out there at the moment with the British Talent Cup leathers.
Yeah, but it's a fantastic start out there for Jamie King, streaking away, much more experienced in these conditions. You can see almost this mammoth lead that he's already pulled out in the opening laps here, and behind you saw Will Howarth struggling to get grip and using the foot, using the leg for balance, and as you say, sussing out where those grip levels are. The guys out on the MotoTeam bikes seem to be having a little bit more of an issue than the Pitbike 140s, and the man that's making the most of it is your race leader Jamie King, who is already exiting turn 2 before the second place rider gets into turn 1.
So it is Cameron Horseman in second place behind Jamie King now. Rossi Banham making his way up from the back of the grid, is up into third place. He actually hasn't seen this track at all this weekend yet. This is this second session actually of the weekend, having only been let into the races today. So that's brilliant stuff from Rossi Banham down currently in 9th place.
Yeah, absolutely so. And yeah, it's been a great start for Horseman there in second. You can see he's got a big gap between himself and Callum Wybrow in 4th place, with Rossi Banham in 3rd. Behind, as I said, it's a much smaller field that have elected a lot of riders, I imagine, protecting their bikes from the elements as the rain is starting to come down heavier and heavier with each lap. So when you're in this position, the track is evolving, it's devolving, it's getting worse and worse. So almost every lap is a new adventure for these guys. Yeah,
absolutely, and they're trying to find where the grip levels are, as we've been saying. You could just see some of the riders there venturing out onto the curbs, trying to see how slippy they are, but whilst they're trying to find where the grip is, as the rain is coming down harder and harder, like you were saying, there's going to be less and less grip out there, so expect to see the times dropping as the session goes on, as these guys will be suffering from less and less grip as this race goes on, and the rain gets harder and harder for this race.
Yep, but it is still Jamie King that leads this one comfortably up the road from anyone else, and just driving away, and yeah, really strong. So I've got a faller down at turn 12.
I believe that was one of the MotoTeam riders, but couldn't quite make out who that was there, crashing out of the MotoTeam race there. Very unfortunate end to the race for that rider. But another of the MotoTeam riders there, that is the number 8 of Jason Pugh, doing really well, up into 3rd place overall in this race, and now leading the MotoTeam race with, as it seems, we have missing our championship leader. Will Howarth doesn't seem to be showing up on our timing screens at the moment, so I have to find out what happened to him. Just looking at the number 67 now, that's Callum Wybrow, just being overtaken now by Iona Glover, who's having a really good race for her, up into 6th place. That'll be her best result of the weekend by a long shot.
Yeah, absolutely, and Iona was doing really well in race 1 this morning as well, and yesterday was towards the back and being lapped, but today really seems to have turned it on, has got used to the circuit, as you say, moving right through the field and seemingly enjoying these conditions. And it's the same case of anyone on 2 wheels or 4 wheels. Some riders, some drivers prefer these wet conditions. They feel a lot more comfortable, they find the grip a lot easier, and clearly Iona Glover is one of those.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, some riders go really well in the wet conditions and have got a really good bike feel for where the grip is and how to go fast in wet conditions. So Iona Glover, obviously one of those who's really enjoying the wet conditions, as is Jamie King out front, doing a tremendous job to pick up his first win of this year, if all stays like this. Cameron Horseman doing a great job in second place then, and Jason Pugh in third place overall, but leading this MotoTeam race. You can see him there on screen, the number 8 bike there, the more GP style looking bike, the number 8 with the red background, just leading this race and this MotoTeam race in third place overall in this race. That would of course mean Anderson in fourth place. He's third place in the Pitbike 140 race, so just something to keep an eye on with these two races running in one race.
Yeah, absolutely. Jason Pugh doing a good job in third place at the moment, having to fend off Darren Anderson on the Pitbike 140. So Pugh holding on to a podium place at the moment, whilst they're behind. They're being closed in by Iona Glover, so she's not she's well in with a chance of picking up at the moment a podium. She's only a couple of seconds off of it at the moment, so that'd be a remarkable change in fortunes. We've seen a couple of riders go down at turn 12, not just today but across the entirety of this weekend. So turn 12 turning out so far this weekend to be probably the problem corner for most riders.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a fast corner. There's not really a corner where you're getting weight onto either side of the bike. That you're quite neutral through it, and you'll have a progressive throttle going through that, so it's quite easy. The bike can stay quite light, and you quite easily lose the rear from putting all the power down in the rear of the bike. And so yeah, very really unfortunate to see riders go down there, and it's definitely one they need to be careful of. It looks like now we've got a problem for Jason Pugh, who is running in third place in this race, and that's giving another place to Iona Glover. So that's your MotoTeam leader now out of this race. Perhaps all the rain causing some technical issues on that MotoTeam bike, so not the end to the race that he wanted.
No, absolutely not, and I believe that promotes Phil Joyce up in the MotoTeam class as well, and he's currently running in 8th on circuit. Rossi Banham circulating in 7th. You can see frustration there out on circuit for Jason Pugh. He realised that he was in a really strong position, and you can see the rain really starting to come down now. There's yellow flags out on the circuit.
I believe that's Rossi Banham down as well, the rider who just turned up today to be able to ride, and unfortunately he's gone out of this one as well. He was doing very well to find the grip in these conditions, but unfortunately was caught out by these slippery conditions. Quick check on Iona Glover then, up into third place now, so now going to enjoy her first podium of this year. Iona Glover up into third place at number 134 on the Pitbike 140. Brilliant stuff from her, and equally Darren Anderson will be picking up his first podium if all stays like this as well.
Yeah, we've got 2 laps left to go in this one, and it's been an absolutely magnificent run for Jamie King.
It looks like Cameron Horseman's dropping down the order now, so I think we've possibly had some form of problem for Cameron Horseman, possibly a technical issue for him as we see him dropping down the order at the moment.
Yeah, but it's as you can say, it's almost a battle royale here. People just trying to stay out there on circuit and hold on to the position. We've got 1 lap left to go, and it's Jamie King leading this one. Comfortable margin, almost 25 seconds over Darren Anderson in second place. Iona Glover, fantastic run for her so far. She's up to third with Callum Wybrow in fourth place. Phil Joyce moving up into fifth.
There we see Dan Anderson now coming round the final corner to that's the number 67, Callum Wybrow coming across the final. We see the checker flag, number 76. Jamie King takes his first win of the year. Expect to see some more from him. He's well versed on the Pitbike 140s, and a name we're very much familiar with. Jamie King takes the win then, ahead of Darren Anderson, who's set to be coming around the final corner any minute now. Philip Joyce will take the win in the MotoTeam. You can see him there, the number 119. Unfortunate scenes for the number 8 of Jason Pugh there. Will Howarth again picking up 20 points in the MotoTeam Championship, so a decent ride for him considering a damage limitation, we'll call it, for this round.
Yeah, absolutely so, and a huge congratulations goes out to the 134 rider Iona Glover, who picks up a podium, the unlikeliest if you'd seen yesterday's results, and she she absolutely came alive in today's wet conditions, and the track is really starting to become particularly treacherous now. You can see it's completely changed even since the start of the race. It's standing water puddles now starting to form on the circuit, and yeah, she did a fantastic job to come home and pick up her debut penalty. But it is the man Jamie King that takes the race win in the PB140. He finishes a comfortable 22 seconds up the road from Darren Anderson. Iona Glover, the 134, in third place. Karen Wybrow in fourth. Phil Joyce in the MotoTeam bike, is your class winner, with Will Howarth only able to come in sixth. Roger Monks in the PB40 in seventh. Cameron Horseman, Jason Pugh, Rossi Banham rounding out the top 10 in a particularly tricky race. A lot of these riders, not used to these conditions, went out and gave it a go. And riders like Iona Glover, like Darren Anderson, starting well down the order. Perfect job for them.
But all eyes to the flag now. As you can see there, they're absolutely underway. That is the Will Howarth who's taking the lead of this race, and Jamie King just slotting into second position on the number 76, but he's definitely doesn't look happy with that second position as he goes round the outside. What a move from Jamie King, round the outside into the second chicane. Brilliant stuff from him. The number 76 takes the lead of this race. We saw how fast he was earlier on today, and he's already absolutely gone. He's left Will Howarth for dead. Will Howarth will still be leading the MotoTeam race, and Jamie King leading the Pitbike 140s and the overall race here at the moment.
Yeah, what a move there for Jamie King around the outside of Will Howarth, and as you can see, already Jamie King is stretching out a lead over the MotoTeam bike of Will Howarth. Cameron Wybrow in third position, Jack Andrews in fourth, and then comes Jason Pugh, the second rider on the MotoTeam bike, and Greg Pym behind. But Jamie King comes across the line, 54.8 off the standing start. Will Howarth is 2.8 seconds back, so Jamie King is absolutely loving these wet conditions compared to what we saw from him in the dry.
Yeah, absolutely. And another rider that's really loving these wet conditions is the number 76. You can just as I say that, he's pushed wide there by the number 14 of Jack Andrews. So Jack Andrews we saw very fast earlier on today, and Callum Webber really loving these wet conditions. So a change for second place there as Jack Andrews makes his way under, and so does Callum Wybrow, makes their way through Will Howarth, who's struggling here. He's still leading the MotoTeam race, so he'll still be picking up 25 points in that championship, providing that he's not caught by the number 8 of Jason Pugh, who won earlier on in the wet race for the MotoTeam.
Vince Bailey making a good start up to fifth position. As you can see across the line comes Jamie King, a 52.7. He's currently 3 seconds a lap faster than anyone else on circuit. He's already got a 6-second gap over Jack Andrews and Callum Wybrow in second and third. Will Howarth now down to fourth, and he's going to have to battle with Jason Pugh for the lead of the MotoTeam class. Jason Pugh and Vince Bailey. Good start from the 369. He is currently third in class. Cameron Horseman is in seventh place, with Greg Pym back in eighth. Roger Monks and Iona Glover back in 10th position.
Yeah, you've got to think, you can see Cameron Horseman there trying to make a move up the inside of one of the MotoTeam riders there. He's trying to find his way through the field, and you've got to think that he's going to be able to do it. We saw how fast he was earlier on. You can see him there with the British Talent Cup leathers and the green flashes on the helmet. But at the moment, Jamie King, no one can quite match that pace. They're getting slightly closer to the pace that he's matching, but by the time they're able to match it, they won't be able to catch him at all, because they're still over a second a lap slower than Jamie King. So 7.1 second lead for Jamie King. No chance of anyone to close that down. Well, there's 7 laps to go, but very unlikely for these guys. So that's the number 92 just having a few problems there and unable to rejoin this race. That's Elliot Crosby, unfortunately having some issues there. I think might have been the rider we saw having some issues at the back of the grid earlier on in this race as well. So it still is the number 76 of Jamie King absolutely flying at the front of this one. Will Howarth just holding on to the lead of the MotoTeam grid, but coming under some pressure here as Jason Pugh and Vince Bailey are catching up Will Howarth, so he could lose the lead of the MotoTeam race as well.
Yeah, Will Howarth, It's the first real time he's come under threat in the MotoTeam class in this race. So he's always really been at the front with the likes of Charlie Nesbitt and Brad Ray earlier on in the weekend. And so maybe the wet conditions not suiting his driving style and falling back a little bit. And the man, it's just, Jamie King is just on another planet at the moment, just setting fast laps and just driving away. He's currently got a 7-second lead. We've got 6 laps left to go in this one. Jack Andrews will be happy with currently second place, and Callum Wybrow equally back in third. If you're Jason Pugh and Vince Bailey, you've got to think that Will Howarth is there for the taking.
Absolutely, yeah. They'll have their sights completely set on taking a race win here in the MotoTeam class, and Will Howarth, considering how dominant he's been in this class so far this weekend, they'll be absolutely ecstatic to be able to get in front of him. But it's all yet to be done for these guys. Cameron Horseman has managed to get through Pugh and Bailey, so in between Will Howarth and Jason Pugh at the moment is Cameron Horseman, so he stands in the way of them taking their win as well. But it looks like Cameron Horseman does have the pace to get through on Will Howarth as well. He was right on his back wheel and absolutely charging through the field. He takes the inside line there, but that's GP50 fairly quick in a straight line, but Cameron Horseman does manage to make it stick through that section. You can see Will Howarth there being fairly cautious through that section. I suppose he knows he's got a hefty lead in this championship and doesn't need to risk too much, but if he takes it too easy, he's going to have to answer to Jason Pugh and Vince Bailey. Yeah, exactly. That's what Will Howarth has got to think. He's purely got to think about his championship and picking up as many points as possible, and currently leading that MotoTeam class to Jason Pugh and Vince Bailey behind. Jamie King extends his lead to 8 seconds. Jack Andrews back in second, Callum Wybrow in third. But as you say, Cameron Horseman, the only rider on circuit that's starting to match Jamie King's pace. So Cameron is closing in right up on Callum Wybrow for third place at the moment. So we could see a change for the podium coming up very, very shortly as Cameron Horseman closes in on the 67 of Callum Wybrow as they circulate in around about a second and a half off of Jamie King, who's just gone purple with a 51.9. So dipping into the 51s. What a lap from Jamie King. He's just going quicker and quicker. Jack Andrews comes across the line in second. Callum Wybrow and Cameron Horseman changed positions. So Cameron Horseman now up into the podium positions, gets past Callum Wybrow's PB 140, and Cameron Horseman now finds himself on the podium 4 seconds away from Jack Andrews and well within a shot of chasing him down. Yeah, with 3 laps to go here, anything is possible. He's setting a blistering pace, is Cameron Horseman, but so is Jack Andrews. Jack Andrews isn't hanging about at all, so a tall order for Cameron to go and catch Jack Andrews, but definitely not impossible. One man, though, it is looking impossible to catch is Jamie King. He now has a 9.4 second lead as he finishes this lap and goes on to the penultimate lap of this race. Broken collarbone isn't holding Jamie King back at all. He's absolutely flying, setting a really nice, fast and consistent pace here at the front. It's going to be a very tall order to be able to catch him. Just on our screens now is the number 134 of Iona Glover. She did really well earlier on to take a podium and doing well here to take 8th place, running currently in 8th place in this race. So good stuff for her in the wet. But it's all about Jamie King, Jack Andrews and Cameron Horseman at the moment. Callum Wybrow, does he have any answer to Cameron Horseman? It doesn't look that way. Cameron Horseman has already got a good 3 second lead over Callum Wybrow there. So Cameron Horseman is doing everything he can to catch Jack Andrews. He did a 52.2 on that last lap as opposed to Jack's 53.8. So he's quite a bit quicker than Jack Andrews. So anything can happen here. Jamie King, your race leader, is just beginning his final lap, and Cameron Horseman sets the fastest lap of the race and heads into second place. So Cameron Horseman has caught Jack Andrews and has made his way into second place and has set the fastest lap of the race on the penultimate lap, just for good measure. Yeah, absolutely so. And one man that also made a position up in that last lap was Will Howarth, jumping up past Callum Wybrow for 4th place. So puts a bit of a gap between himself and Jason Pugh in the second in class in the MotoTeam series. So yeah, good result so far for Will, falling back a little bit off the start. Cameron Horseman
is really enjoying this late stage, but we're on the last lap, and it's Jamie King that is coming out, and it's going to be Jamie King coming across the line. And what a win, arms up in the air. He knows that he's been the master in the rain this afternoon. What a victory from him. The 76 machine has been absolutely electric in the rain. Cameron Horseman fighting through the field to come home in second. Jack Andrews picks up a podium. Will Howarth, Callum Wybrow come across the line in quick succession. Jason Pugh picks up second in class for the Moto team. Vince Bailey picks up a first podium in third in the Moto team class, and then Iona Glover, Roger Monks and Phil Joyce in 10th position.
Yeah, brilliant race for Jamie King. Absolutely on fire. You see, Cameron Horseman did manage to take a good chunk out of his lead on that last lap. So it would have been interesting to see what Cameron Horseman could have done if he started further up the grid. Obviously, he did make his way all the way from the back of the grid up into second place. So a brilliant run from him and took the fastest lap of the race there as well. So brilliant stuff from Cameron Horseman. Brilliant stuff from Jamie King. Jack Andrews will be delighted with the podium as well, the number 114. So yeah, brilliant stuff from them. Will Howarth it was then who extends his championship lead in the Moto team class. Jason Pugh couldn't quite make it past the number 96. Vince Bailey then also on the podium for the Moto team.
Yep, absolutely, and it's really nicely done there for Jamie King. You can see dominant victory for him in the rain, 7.728 seconds ahead of Cameron Horseman. Jack Andrews in third position ahead of Will Howarth, who wins the Moto team class ahead of Callum Wybrow in the PB40 machine. Jason Pugh and Vince Bailey round out the podium for the Moto team class. Iona Glover back in 8th position on the PB140 machine, with Roger Monks in 9th position. Phil Joyce on the Moto team comes in 4th in class in the Moto team bike, and Greg Pym back in 11th as well, with Paul Coombs, and unfortunately I believe Elliot Crosby finished a couple of laps down after that issue we saw earlier on.